YouTube friends and family, to today's pumpkin adventures of the Wellness Homesteader. So today we are going to be working on a couple things. I do want to take down my Halloween front porch and put up some Thanksgiving harvest-ish decor instead. But as you hear in the background, my heat cut on. It's been unseasonably cold here in Ohio, so I thought, well, today would be a good day to go ahead and roast my pumpkins. But before we get into all that, I want to remind y'all about your month of gratitude. So I ended up just taking, this was an olive jar, and I just stuck a little pumpkin on it because I couldn't find a turkey. And I'm just cutting little pieces of paper each morning, writing down what I am grateful and thankful for, no matter how large or small it is, and putting it into the jar. And I tell you, it does produce a nice start to the day. So if you're keeping up with the calendar I'm using, certainly can do your own calendar. Today, here is the 3rd. So in the day, sharing one positive thing. So I will be doing that, even if it's just a community post. And then today, when you're watching this, it's do something nice for a family member. So keep up with your calendar. I hope it's bringing you some joy and some gratitude for all the blessings that we can have a tendency to take for granted. I know I do. All right, guys, so pumpkin. There are several different ways that you can preserve pumpkin. You can can it, and I'm going to talk about that. You can puree it and freeze it, or I'm going to actually try freeze drying it, but the roasting and preparation is all the same as if you were going to freeze it. So why am I not going to just can the pumpkin puree? So I had to laugh this morning because this is a Better Homes and Gardens home canning book from 1973, right? And it has a chart for how to can all vegetables. So under pumpkin, it says cube, you basically boil it a little bit, but it also gives instructions for mashed pumpkin and says, wash, remove seeds, peel and cut up, steam until tender, put through food mill, heat through, stir to prevent sticking, pack hot, leaving 1/2 inch headspace, add no salt or liquid. And y'all, that is not the proper way any longer to home can pumpkin. So when you puree pumpkin, the thought behind it not being safe, we know it's a low acid food. We're not adding sugar. I'm not adding sugar or vinegar or anything like that would change it. So it would need to be pressure canned. But when you have a puree, it's very difficult for the heat to completely penetrate any type of puree, and therefore you do run the risk of botulism. So I'm going to show you some of my home canned cubed pumpkin, and I have to tell y'all, I'm not a huge fan of the canned pumpkin in this manner. I prefer roasting it, pureeing it, and then freezing it. So I also have some that I've just sealed in the little plastic vacuum seal bags, and it actually seems to hold the flavor better and have less stringy weird texture. I'm a big texture person. So what are we going to do to get started? Well, I have a lot of pumpkins here. So some are pie pumpkins. I think a couple might be jack-o'-lanterns and therefore not a great option, but I'm going to cut into them. I know these first 3 are pie pumpkins. So let me get these washed up real quick in the sink, and then we'll get on to baking off our pumpkin for future pureeing and then freeze drying. Stay tuned. All right. So this pumpkin has a little dent in it. I probably dropped it, to be quite honest. But the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to cut these in half. I think doing all of that loofah might have actually dulled my knife a bit, but that's the first thing you want to do. Now, I will tell you, I have watched YouTube videos of people who actually, and this is shocking to me, just roasted their pumpkin whole. They didn't take the insides out. Of course, it's going to take longer. Smells good and pumpkin-y. And I don't think that little bump is a problem. But to me, it just seems like a waste of electricity to do it that way. Sorry about the dinging, guys. So I'm actually was not a huge fan of this variety of pumpkin seed as far as, you know, what it produced. So I don't know that I'm really gonna save anything seed-wise, but what I do know, guys, I'm so sorry to keep dinging, that the girls will very much enjoy it. So this one's nice and ripe, no problems there. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees, and even though I have a split oven, in my particular oven, you can remove the split, and yep, she heard me talking about her, and actually just go ahead and take the split out and use your full oven. So I am going to try to fill up the oven, because if I'm going to use an hour of power to heat the oven, I'm gonna get as much out of it as I can. So this pumpkin, although small, has a nice amount of flesh. You do not need to peel it. Once this has roasted, that peel will just peel right off. All right, I'm gonna keep going. I'm going to put them cut side down on a cookie tray or cookie sheet, but this one actually has a bit of a side to it, so it's half an inch or so tall. And I'm gonna put it just like that, and I'm gonna keep going. I'll bring you back. Might even take you out while I give the girls their pumpkin seeds. They're gonna be excited. Stay tuned, y'all. I have my 2 trays of pumpkins cut. I have a whole bowl of pumpkin guts. And I do have a video, if you just go to my channel and search. I do sometimes roast my pumpkin seeds, but now that I have chickens, and because they've just been through a molt, and you'll be happy to know, Miss Fancy Ray now has feathers on her hind end, bless her heart. And she's laying again, so I'm so eternally grateful. But this will be a nice little extra treat. So I'm going into the 350 oven. It usually takes 50 minutes to an hour. These are not huge pumpkins, so I will bring you back when we go out to give the girls their treat. And while that pumpkin cooks, I may do a little work on the front porch. So I hope you'll stay tuned.
Goodness, ladies, I hear you. What you doing? What are you doing? You all up? Okay. Mommy brought you a treat. Come on with it. Looky here. Yeah, who wants some nummies? Come on, Miss Violet. Oh, yeah, you do. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. You girlies enjoy your treat. Yes, say hello to everybody, Miss Violet. Hey, no fussing. You know, you be nice sissies.
So if you remember from our Halloween porch decorations, this is what it looks like. And I still have my broom parking over here. So let's start by changing out the wreath and the banners. I will leave links to anything I purchased that I can find on Amazon. This set of Thanksgiving banners say Happy Thanksgiving on one and gobble 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 on the other. These are new this year. I really like having the banners on the side. I just installed a little hook, and it really gives some festive color to my rather neutral porch. Plus it doesn't cause any marring to my paint job that is new this year. And believe me, I kind of got enough of that. So, I don't want to have to paint again. Whew. Guys, this is not the most stable stool, but it works. Oh my word, how cute is that, right? And I am going to leave my fall garland up I'm going to leave the pumpkins on the porch. I'm just going to take down the things that are, you know, obviously Halloweenish. Oh my goodness, this one got twisted. Okay. And get it where we did. Okay. So I have had these banners for several years. Although my house does face east, it's not as big of a deal on the fading as you might think, because the porch is covered, and so the angle is not there for it to really fade. So I find that my wreaths and outdoor decorations do just fine. So I do have my tubbo decorations out here. So let's hang up the second one. Okay. Super cute. Alrighty. Step one done. Now, my wreaths, I actually hang, I cover them with like a trash bag and hang them in the garage. But I decided bring a little different look, and this is a wreath that I did make on this channel. It's Hello Sweater Weather, and voila, right? We no longer need our boo to you. We could leave up the Hello Fall, but I think I'm gonna just take it down. So let me kind of red up this stuff. We'll head over and get the rest of the Halloween taken down. And I've got a really cute new accessory for my urns. I thought I would share how I store my wreaths. You know, these mesh wreaths can get really smooshed. So what I've done here is I just, if you can see the blue plastic hanger, I just take a hanger and I poke a hole in the bottom of, this is actually a kitchen trash bag. You can use the heavier hefty bags. And then, yeah, I just fuss with it till I get the bag down. And I will usually take a Sharpie and write what season, so that I don't have to uncover them when I want to switch out wreaths. And this has really helped them to stay looking fresh and nice. All right, guys, see you in a minute. Things kind of back to normal. And I wanted to share with you these little metal turkeys that I'm going to put in my pots. One says give thanks, and it, as you see, it's a turkey. These are the feathers. It is metal, the leaves are silk, but you know, if they get looking bedraggled, you can always re-glue some new ones on. So I did get this on Amazon. I'll be sure and leave a link. Gotta kind of figure out how, I don't want them super tall, so I may not use the middle post. So it just screws in like any like little flag or whatever. Just, it's threaded with the little pokey things to stick it in the dirt, and I'll show you here in a minute. Y'all, it's cold out here. It's only like 31 degrees. So it is supposed to start getting warmer, but we have definitely had quite the cool down. So let me just stick these in my pot. Oh yeah, and I'll give you a final view here in just a moment. The turkeys are just adorbs. I really like them. I like the banners. The wreath doesn't strictly match color-wise, but that's okay. And yeah, we're kind of back to the reset for fall and Thanksgiving. Our pumpkins have been in the oven for about an hour. As you see, I have a little bit of liquid that's come out, but not a tremendous amount. So what you're looking for, and you can see here where I poked it with a fork in several different areas, is for the skin to be tender. So now I'm just going to let these cool until they're able to be handled, and then we'll start removing the pumpkin from its peeling. So what I'm doing now is making a mess. I have actually cleaned out all of these pumpkins, and I thought, maybe I should show you. It's so nice and tender that really you could use a spoon. I'm using a fork. It's working really well for me. And this pumpkin does not seem to be tremendously watery. One of the things to know is homegrown pumpkins, many of the varieties have a tendency to be a bit more on the watery side, and thus they don't make as good of a pumpkin puree. Now you'll see I left some strings, and I want to just show you this too. You can just simply scrape out the part that you wouldn't want to eat. It comes out really easy after it's cooked, so if you don't get them 100% clean, no worries there. But the strings I do not like, and that's kind of the mesh that holds the seeds in the pumpkin. So I'm gonna finish cleaning these. I do want to get the rest of those strings out. This particular pumpkin was a little more stringy. And I am just putting it into the blender, like yay. I'm going to puree it up. I'm not going to add any liquid, any sweetener, anything, because I want just pure pumpkin. And then I'm going to talk about how I intend to preserve it, because I have made an executive decision not to freeze dry it, and I'll tell you why. So I did decide, I have my Instant Pot Ace blender, it's just a blender, to go ahead and puree it all up. And this actually is only maybe 3/4, 2/3 of it. So obviously I don't have enough for a full freeze dryer load, and because the freeze dryer does use a significant amount of energy, and from what I read, it takes about 24 hours to freeze dry pumpkin because it's a high water content item. I think I'm just gonna put it in the bag. So here is my thought. Y'all know I can't have everything. So what I did was, this is a vacuum seal bag. I've sealed the bottom, I've labeled it. I know from experience that it takes about 2 cups of pumpkin to make a pumpkin pie. So that has a little piece of peel in it. I'm gonna just measure out a couple cups for each of my bags here. And yeah, y'all, I probably wouldn't even have more than a tray's worth. So this is kind of messy. But here's one of the things that I'm excited about, and that is, I grew these from seed and babied them and fed them. They were grown organically. And I don't know about you all, but I don't see a lot of options for organic pumpkin in the store. Now, since we're not eating the peeling, it's not part of the Dirty Dozen or anything, but I just think the less chemicals I consume, the better. All right, guys, I'm gonna finish up this messiness, and I'll bring you back at the very end to do a recap. We have our pumpkin all ready for the freezer. I have 1 cup in here and 4 cups in the larger bag, because when I make pumpkin pie, like for a holiday or whatsoever, I generally will make 2, and like 1 to gift and 1 for whatever meal that it might happen to be. So is all of this time, energy, and effort worth it? Or is canned pumpkin a more economical answer? I'm going to tell you, not being a pumpkin freak, as far as like I don't eat tons of it, I don't mind doing this little bit of work. However, if your family consumes a lot of pumpkin, or you make a lot of pies or pumpkin bread, it may be more efficient to buy the canned pumpkin. It's not so much from a cost standpoint of, the seeds. Very simple to save seeds, and then as well you have the seeds for a treat or to feed your animals. I had pumpkin skin to compost, so I have several different applications for my pumpkins. It's just pretty time consuming, I will say that. But I've enjoyed it, and thank you for coming along today. If you would do me a big favor, go ahead and smash that like button. Drop me a comment below. If you're a pumpkin grower, these are called sugar pie pumpkins. What is your favorite pumpkin to grow for eating? I would love to know, because I want to do something a little bit different next year. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Think about what day it is, what day it's going up. This is going up today for tomorrow. So I will see you next week. But until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed, and take care.